A child's cry in the void. For 3,000 years, the galaxy had known peace. The Great Galactic Council had united more than 400 alien species under a common law. War was banned, weapons were reduced, and the few who disobeyed were quickly corrected. By diplomacy or exile, among all these civilizations, humans were a quiet race. They lived on the edges of space, away from politics and power. Many aliens believed humans were peaceful by nature. Some even thought they had grown weak. But few remembered Earth's history, or dared to study it. On a small planet called Eden 12, a human colony flourished quietly. Surrounded by lush forests and clean oceans, it was home to just 20,000 people, mostly scientists, farmers, and children. The planet had no weapons, no guards, no armies. One bright morning, a delegation of aliens from the VAREXX Dominion arrived on Eden 12. They were tall, insect-like beings with 4 arms and sharp eyes. The humans welcomed them warmly. A festival was held in the colony square. Children laughed, music played, and food was shared. Everything was perfect, until Lena ran onto the stage. She was only 6 years old. With soft brown curls and a smile full of innocence, Lena had escaped her mother's hand and ran to offer a flower to one of the visiting VAREXX soldiers. She giggled and held up the small blue flower with both hands. The VAREXX soldier froze. His training taught him to fear unexpected movements. His species believed children were dangerous if untamed. His instincts took over. He struck her. A loud thud echoed through the square as Lena fell, the flower crushed beneath her. 4. A moment, the world stopped. Her small body lay still, a thin line of blood on her forehead. Gasps filled the air. No one moved. Then, from her wrist communicator, a small blinking light began to flash. It was a distress beacon. Programmed by Terran law centuries ago, it was designed to activate if any child was seriously harmed. The signal was ancient, encrypted, and powerful. It didn't just alert her mother. It traveled far beyond Eden-12. Thousands of light years away. In the dark space beyond mapped territory, a ship stirred. The TSS Retribution, a forgotten Terran watchship, woke from its sleep. AI systems booted. Red lights flickered. Ancient war protocols began to load. No crew, no command, just the signal and an old purpose. Protocol Omega activated, the system said. Child in danger. Response authorized. Back on Eden 12, Lena's mother rushed. To her side, holding her close and calling her name. Medics arrived. The council delegate from the VAREXX stuttered apologies. The soldier who struck her stood frozen, realizing his mistake too late. Governor Harris, the colony's leader, said nothing. His face was pale. He simply looked up at the sky toward the stars, where something had already started to move. By nightfall, ships in the far sectors began to receive ghost signals. Silent codes, forgotten frequencies. A few captains recognized the patterns. They weren't distress calls. They were warnings. Centuries ago, before the peace began, Earth had prepared, quietly, silently. While the galaxy celebrated unity, humans had left behind watchships, silent satellites, AI-driven fleets hidden in deep space. They were never meant to be used, only if humanity's young were ever harmed. Back at the Galactic Council headquarters, reports began to arrive. Strange energy spikes, unknown fleet movements, old Terran, encryption. The council called an emergency meeting. Some laughed. Humans, they're farmers now. Others didn't laugh. Ambassador K. Rahl, an elder from the Athari species, stood slowly. I warned you all, he said, voice shaking. Humans do not forget. They do not forgive. But it was just a child, another said. Corral looked at him coldly. That's the worst part. For humans, that's more than enough. Protocol Omega is now active, far beyond the colony of Eden 12. In a dark, quiet zone of space, ancient systems blinked back to life. The TSS Retribution wasn't the only one. 3 other ships, buried in asteroid fields and orbiting dead. Planets received the same signal. They were all part of an old Terran emergency network. The Guardian code activated only in one condition: if a Terran child is harmed by alien hands. Inside these silent ships, war AI programs began calculating. Ship engines warmed. Weapons tested themselves after thousands of years in sleep. There were no human voices, no orders given. The message was enough. Back on Eden 12. Lena was stable but unconscious. Doctors said she would recover. Her mother sat by her side, holding her tiny hand, whispering stories from Earth to keep her. Calm. Governor Harris stood outside the medical center, staring at the stars above. His face looked tired, his hands trembling. He had already sent a coded message to Earth Central, but he knew what was coming. It was too late to stop it. He turned to the VAREXX ambassador, who waited nearby with guards. You need to leave. No, Harris said. Your presence is a danger to everyone here. We offer apology, deep apology, the VAREXX ambassador said, his voice clicking nervously. We will compensate. It was a mistake. It wasn't your apology I was warning you about, Harris said softly. The ground trembled. In orbit. Clouds parted as a dark silhouette appeared in the sky, massive, triangular, and silent. A watchship had arrived. At the Galactic Council headquarters. Panic spread like wildfire. Alien leaders from dozens of species argued in loud voices. The humans must be stopped. This is overreaction. We should intercept their ships. But deep inside, they were afraid. Most of them had only read about human wars in old books. The stories felt like myths: mass destruction, wars fought without mercy, planets turned to dust. They thought humans had changed. They hoped peace had softened them. They were wrong. Ambassador Corral stood again. They warned us. They always warned us. You chose to ignore it. A new voice crackled over the CUM system. One of the Council's deep space beacons had been destroyed. No warning, no survivors. Then another. Then another. Not a single message came from the Terran side. On Eden 12, children were sent home. Families locked their doors, unsure of what would happen next. From the colony's watchtower, Governor Harris watched as 3 more watchships entered orbit. All bore the same symbol, a single human eye surrounded by fire. The Eye of Judgment. It hadn't been seen in over 3,000 years. Abu? Message came through the governor's private terminal. It was a text-only transmission. Protocol Omega is now active. Terran response authorized. Diplomacy suspended. War condition. Defensive justice. No one knew what defensive justice meant anymore. But Earth did. In a deep vault under Mars. An ancient human AI called Sentinel-9 awoke fully for the first time since the peace treaties were signed. It scanned the galactic channels. It ignored council laws. It accessed forgotten codes. And then it spoke to the council's network. You harmed one of ours. You opened the door. A child lives, but peace does not. The Varix ambassador, still on Eden 12, was escorted to the last shuttle by human guards. His claws shook as he stepped aboard, looking back one last time at the human colony. A child's mistake, he thought. One moment. How did it go so wrong? As the shuttle launched, he saw the sky above Eden 12 glow with a red pulse. It wasn't sunlight. It was target lock's. And then, across the stars, from system to system, one message began to spread among all alien species. The humans are moving. Some prepared for war, others prayed. A few remembered the last time humanity moved. None of them were ready. The sleepers wake. Silence spread across the galaxy. But it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that comes before a storm. From the outer rings of the galaxy to the heart of council space, strange things began to happen. Abandoned satellites lit up, broadcasting unknown signals. Ancient listening posts that hadn't spoken in centuries started sending one message: sleepers are waking. Few understood what it meant. Those who did began to panic. In the far-off Traeger system, a mining crew stumbled across something beneath the ice of a dead moon. A massive black structure, covered in earth markings, started to rise from the surface. It was a human war platform, buried there long ago, now rising slowly with lights glowing red. A nearby Traeger commander tried to hail it. There was no response. The platform scanned their ship, then turned away, heading straight for VAREXX controlled space. Meanwhile, on Eden 12, Lena slowly opened her eyes in the medical bay. Her mother gasped and hugged her tight, tears falling from her cheeks. "Am I in trouble?" Lena whispered weakly. "No, my love," her mother said softly. "But others are." The doctors exchanged quiet looks. They had already received orders. Protect all children at any cost. Earth had made its priorities clear. In the galactic councils. Main hall, a list appeared on the central display screen. It was not added by the council. It came from a secure human channel no one had accessed in millennia. Omega Protocol activation points. Eden 12 Traeger Moon. Varex Border Outpost 7 Station. Epsilon 9 Earth Secure Line 0 Aether were 5. Every alien leader stared at the screen. No one spoke. Only Ambassador K'Ra whispered, "Those are the coordinates of the old sleepers." "What sleepers?" someone asked. K'Ra turned slowly. "The ones they left behind in peace, so that war would never forget them." On the edge of Varex space, Outpost 7 detected an object approaching at impossible speed. They activated defense shields, but it was too late. A Terran stealth cruiser, black as night, decloaked for only 1 second before unleashing a concentrated plasma burst. The station's outer shell vaporized. Its reactors failed. All that was left was the echo of the name the humans had given the ship: Vigilant Mercy. It didn't stay to finish the job, but it only destroyed the command center. It was a message. Back. In council space, the Ethari Republic withdrew from the emergency peace talks. They remembered history too well. Long ago, the Ethari were enemies of Earth, and they lost. But after surrendering, the humans showed them mercy, helped rebuild their cities, and even shared medical technology. But one Ethari scholar once said, "If the humans ever return in anger, it will not be to conquer. It will be to correct." In the shadows of a desert world, an old warrior monk of the Zephyr species sat beneath the stars. His apprentice rushed to him, breathless. "Master, the humans are attacking. Ships are waking." The old monk nodded. Calmly, "They are not attacking," he said. "They are responding. But for one child?" The master opened his eyes. "For them, one child is not small. It is everything." Back on Eden 12, Governor Harris looked at the human fleet now hovering above the colony. 5 ships, silent, motionless, watching. A message came directly to him. No image, no sound, just text. "Stand by. Do not interfere. Justice is coming." He knew what it meant. This was not war. This was reminder. And the galaxy was beginning to understand what it had forgotten. The first flame falls. In the darkness of Varex space, a red star pulsed softly over Outpost Hilarion, one of the Dominion's strongest military bases. The officers stationed there were alert. After all, news of strange human movements had spread across all sectors. Ships disappearing, stations silenced, codes no one had seen in thousands of years active again. But still, many believed it was just human posturing. Then came the moment. Everything changed. A warning light blinked once. Then the sky tore open. Out of a spatial rift, 6 Terran warships appeared, silent, black, shaped like daggers. They didn't hail. They didn't threaten. They just moved. The Variks scrambled to raise shields, but the Terran systems were too fast. Precision pulse strikes hit the base's control towers. Defense grids fried instantly. Not a single shot was fired back. Within 43 seconds, the base lost all command. No civilians were harmed. Only military targets. Every strike was deliberate, sharp, and final. On board the TSS Silent Honor, Commander Alea watched the battlefield through her visor. Her hands never trembled. Her voice remained calm. She whispered, "Target neutralized." Her second-in-command asked, "Do we proceed to secondary sites?" Alea shook her head. "No. Message sent. Now they will listen." And with that, the fleet turned and vanished into the stars, leaving behind nothing but fire and silence. In the council chamber, the Variks ambassador stood in shock as the footage played. A perfectly coordinated strike. 0 casualties except Variks officers. No infrastructure damage outside military scope. It wasn't rage. It was controlled punishment. The council fell into silence once again. Then came the second message from Han. "Earth, we do not seek war. We seek understanding. Never touch the innocent again." On Eden 12, Lena sat up in bed, now fully awake. Her forehead was bandaged, but she smiled as she played with her toy starship. Her mother turned on the news and froze. The broadcast showed smoke rising from the VAREXX outpost. "Hello," a reporter whispered. They came and left. Without speaking. Without mercy. Lena tugged her mother's hand. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked. Her mother knelt beside her, voice soft. "No, baby. You reminded the stars what it means to be human." On a nearby moon, a group of alien mercenaries discussed fleeing the region. They destroyed a fortress in under a minute. One said they didn't even leave debris, another added. But why no full invasion? An older warrior answered, because this wasn't conquest. It was the first flame. And it fell not to burn, but to warm. The Ithari Council voted to close all borders and reopen old alliances with Earth. The Zethar monks called it the awakening of the giants. The Farlan people issued a public apology, even though they had nothing to do with the incident. Everyone feared one thing. What happens if humans stop holding back? Back on Earth, in the halls of Terran Command, High Strategist Mara Voss stared. At the galactic map, red lights blinked across the star clusters. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. She only spoke one line to her staff. "Let this be the only flame. If they test us again, we show them the fire." Voices in the fire. The galaxy burned softly under the weight of silence. No more strikes came from Earth. Yet no one could sleep. Every empire, every council, every ruler stared into the stars, waiting, wondering, would the humans come again? Or was that one strike enough? On the scorched remains of Outpost Hilarion, rescue ships hovered over blackened steel. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Just clean-cut destruction perfectly executed. A Variks commander stood at the edge of a collapsed tower, staring at the carved Terran message left behind on one surviving wall. "We are not monsters. We are protectors. Choose your path." He swallowed hard. It wasn't a threat. It was a choice. In the council chambers. Debate had ended. Now came only fear. Half the members wanted to ban humanity from the Alliance completely. The other half wanted to surrender sovereignty and beg for protection. The Ithari ambassador, old and calm, stood and said, You all thought humans were sleeping, but they were only quiet, not because they feared war, but because they respect peace." His words echoed through the hall. On Eden 12, Lena was playing again in the green fields. A few diplomats from peaceful alien species had come to visit. They brought gifts, toys, and healing medicines. They didn't come to talk to adults. They came to see the child Dot to understand. One alien asked softly, "Why does your kind care so much for children?" Lena's mother replied, "Because one day they grow up and remember who protected them and who didn't." Elsewhere, in the jungles of Arvian 9, a mercenary leader named Varn burned his contract with the VAREXX. "I will not fight. A war against those who fight for their children," he said. His crew followed, deleting all deals connected to anti-human operations. "We were soldiers once," one of them added. "Now we'd just be cowards." Back on Earth, in a chamber hidden beneath the old city of Geneva, the Terran Council met in silence. A large screen displayed all known galactic responses. Some were silent. Some had pulled back their fleets. A few had reached out. One message came from the Zephyr monks. "We remember the kindness humans showed us when we were weak. We will walk beside you, not because we fear you, but because we trust you." In orbit around Eden 12, the TSS Silent Honor still waited. Commander Alaya stood by the observation window, looking down at the peaceful fields, the children laughing, the clear skies. She turned to her AI assistant. "Report. Target remains unharmed. Threat levels reduced by 82%. Council factions realigning. Multiple species requesting Terran diplomatic talks." Alea gave a small nod. "We came to respond to pain," she said. "Now we show them peace is not weakness." One final message was sent by Earth. No fanfare, not just a plain statement broadcast across all systems. "Our fire is not for conquest. It is for light. Harm no child, and you will never see it again. But if you do, know that the stars themselves will burn to protect them." A new law was added to the Galactic Charter. The Eden Clause: any harm brought upon a child of any species shall be considered an act of war against all who value life. It was signed first by Earth. And then, one by one, by every species. In the heart of the galaxy, a new understanding was born, not from fear, but from fire that spoke. With purpose, peace forged in fear. The galaxy had changed. No weapons were fired in weeks. No human ships moved further into enemy space. And yet the effect of humanity's response echoed louder than any war ever had. The Eden Clause was now law. It didn't belong to one species. It belonged to every child who might ever walk under. Alien stars and every civilization remembered the name of the world where it began. Eden-12. In a quiet hall aboard the TSS Silent Honor, Commander Alea removed her uniform armor and stood before a small hologram of Earth. Her fingers touched. The continents as a whisper escaped her lips. "We didn't return for vengeance," she said. "We returned to remind them what peace costs." The Galactic Council, once divided and prideful, now stood united, but humbled. No leader dared question Earth's decision. The VAREXX Dominion officially withdrew their forces from 5 sectors and sent a direct public apology to all Terran colonies. Their ambassador, trembling but sincere, spoke before the council. "We misunderstood the depth of human protection," he said. "We forgot what they once were. We will not forget again." On Eden 12, the grass was green again. Children laughed, played, and ran freely. Lina, now recovered, walked with her mother through the colony garden. A reporter approached gently and asked, "Do you know the galaxy changed because of you?" Lina blinked up, confused. "I don't understand." Her mother smiled. "You don't have to," she said. "Because you're safe. That's enough." On a distant planet, a school opened for alien diplomats. Its subject was simple: human history. In the very first lesson, an instructor wrote 5 words on the board: never underestimate quiet strength. Students from dozens of worlds leaned forward, listening closely, because now they knew those words were true. Elsewhere, in a hidden Terran command center, High Strategist Mara Voss watched satellite feeds of dozens of systems returning to peace. One of her advisors asked, "Should we deactivate the watchships?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked out the window at the stars, then said quietly, "No, peace must not sleep again. Let it stand, always awake." Across the galaxy, monuments were built, not to human power, but to one small child. And the moment the galaxy almost forgot its soul, a silver statue stood in the council courtyard. It showed a child offering a flower to an alien hand. Beneath it, etched in every known language, "From the smallest heart came the greatest fire. Let none forget." For 5,000 more years, no child, human or alien, was ever harmed by war, not because of laws, not because of fear, but because the galaxy remembered what it took to break peace and what it cost to build it back again. The end.